food. We're not connected with where it comes from, how it was raised, what happened on the way there, and we don't realize that when you eat a plant, it's more than just eating a plant. I think once people begin to know, and people begin to see the connection between the way they feel and the way their lives are unfolding, and what the food supply that they choose or the non-food supply that they choose, once they begin to see that, they will start taking action, and that's the whole idea of the film festival. It's to give them that knowledge.
Why did I take the 580 and relate it to?
Films have a way of penetrating the barriers that we put up when somebody speaks with us. Films have a way of getting past the resistance that that we have within us. Films are something you can relax and sit back in a more relaxed way and watch, and it's also very non-threatening.
The medical profession generally considers any drug with less than 30% effectiveness to be no better than a placebo.
Films are very accepted in society. Films are something we entertain ourselves with. So if we're going to sit back and just veg out, why not then at least raise the vibrational energy by learning about or being inspired with something that is of a higher realm. Films that are really popular and sell a lot actually feed into fear-based behavior. Well, I thought, what if we had films that lifted us up and brought us into evolutionary lifestyles and into creative behavior instead? Anything about the environment is becoming a new commercial enterprise. Before it stops, I want to cut it and start really addressing the true issues here.
We have taken our first tenuous steps to the stars. We've been bold and inventive. But in our haste to pursue our intellectual callings, we have sometimes neglected that which is most precious, our own home.
Films like this, that's the whole raison d'etre for the Raw Lifestyle Film Festival. To really get the message out, we need films, and we need it on the television sets, we need it constantly on the TV sets where they see it over and over again, it gets reinforced. We need it on the big screen, and we need people like Michael Moore and like that to start getting involved and start helping to make films like this.
Here to save us from a toxic world.
What I really feel is important is to make it so entertaining and to make it so non-threatening that it will be fun for people. I encourage every filmmaker to really start questioning why they're making films and to start lending their own talents to making films that would uplift and unite us all and bring us to a higher level of accomplishment and creativity rather than films that divide and films which create more fear.
So I hope you guys get an opportunity to see it.
So that's why we bring the filmmakers, the musicians and the chefs together. We have a raw reggae band, we've got singers, we've got a lot of entertainers, and the whole idea about that really is to make sure that people move as well. We want dancing, we've got dancing going on, because I think movement is very important to let go of the old energies. In order to raise our vibrational energy to the next level that we're going to, we need to shed the old energies. So that's why the movement is important, that's why music is important. Music is a marvelous tool to uplift and pull us up to the truth of who we are. And so that's why we've got Sipes and the People, the Raw Reggae Band, who I thought was just absolutely fantastic and who I know a lot of people enjoyed and will be again with us for the awards dinner and ceremony, which is a formal black tie event. And the reason why I chose to close the ceremony and the whole film festival with a black tie event is, again, anything, when we dress, anything we put around us, surround ourselves with, either brings our energies down or pulls it up. And when we dress up, it pulls up the energies, and that's why I want to end the film festival on a very high energy note, and I want to bring the beauty of who we are forward, and that's why we do a black tie event at the end. We are now welcoming vendors where we didn't have booths before for people to show all the different ways of being in the world and all the alternative ways of being in the world and the different lifestyles and how you can incorporate all this into a more conscious living lifestyle. This is what I'm about. It's not about what you can get out of it. It's what you have to give to it. What is your voice? What is your perfect voice that you can bring forth to add to uplifting your own life? If you do that, then everybody else gets uplifted along with you. What we need to do is actually take our own power back and say, I am going to actually create my own food supply from now, and I'm going to start from scratch all over again. And if we start a revolution where people start growing their own foods, and if you don't have a patch of land and you can't grow it in a pot, then we get neighborhood cooperatives, or people in one building come together. Maybe you grow the sprouts and I grow something else, you grow the beans and I grow something else, and then we start sharing them. And I think that's what we're going to need to start doing. It is unbelievable to me that we've given so much of our power away that we actually go to a supermarket in a place where something has been manufactured in a laboratory and a scientist is telling us what we need. People will jump on a bandwagon and just use a name without looking at the truth of what they're saying, just to get something sold. It's a commercial venture. Again, it's about capitalizing and monopolizing something. Why would you buy something that's been genetically modified? Why would you buy something that has radiation in it? Why would we buy something that didn't come out of nature? I personally wanted to make it more of an ecological film festival, to really address the impact of food on the environment. There is not one aspect of our life that it does not touch. And if you want to know how a person is, the truth of their being, eat with them and look at how they eat, when they eat, and what they're eating. And that tells you everything about that person, everything. Getting people exposed to the fact that they're not giving up anything. What they're actually doing is gaining a tremendous amount of foods and incredible tastes and textures and colors and forms that they've never experienced before. So actually people who do not even wish to try this lifestyle is missing out on a tremendous amount. We don't see the connection between why we feel malaise and sickness and depression, but yet there is a connection. You know how we know there's connection? Not just by our own experience of it, but look at the television ads. First you see the junk food and the non-foods, and then right after this you see things from Mylanta and Alka-Seltzer and all the different ailments in the digestive system, because one has to go with the other. But foods that have their own enzymes and can be digested or pre-digested, foods that have their own probiotics in there, they already have what is needed for the digestive system to work efficiently. And so, I believe that livestock long shadow, the report by the United Nations, is something that needs to be taught in every school. It's something that should be available to every human being. It's up on my website. It's for people to read. The food supply tells everything about how a society lives. And when most of your food is manufactured in a laboratory, it shows that we give our power away. We give our power away to others, and that we are depleted, and that we are totally divorced from nature. And this disconnection is showing up in our youth. Children are having children. Children are getting pregnant. Children are also feeling frustrated and lost. Children are very, very violent. Children are angry. They're very upset. They're shooting up themselves with drugs or shooting up each other. And they're shooting us too, because they know that something is wrong. There are lies being told here. This is not what it's meant to be, David. This is not what we came here to do. This is not who we are. And so this disconnection has got to stop. And the disconnection starts with the disconnection with our food supply. The minute we start growing our foods and our own foods, there's a connection there. And it's very interesting. What I found something interesting, David, is that people who grow their own foods tend to eat it and eat all of it. But when you buy food in the supermarket, you're disconnected with it, so it tends to stay and rot in your refrigerator because you have no connection with it. So the disconnection is what the problem really is. It's not that something is wrong with the food. It's not even the fact that the food is, that the non-foods, we cannot call them foods, are genetically modified or that they're hybridized or, all the radiated and all the things that are being done to them. It would never have been done in the first place had we stayed connected to our food supply. We'd never have given our power away for companies to come in and start doing that. It's not to put anybody down who wants to eat meat. It's to make them aware what goes into what they see on their plate and why and how it affects them, because a lot of people don't realize that what they're eating is energy. You're not eating steak. You're eating the energy of the animal and the way it was killed, the way it was raised, all the torture that it was inflicted on it. And most people do not see that connection between the exhaustion, the tiredness, the feeling of deprivation afterwards, that they feel the feeling of disconnectedness with their families and with themselves. That is because we've been disconnected with our food. For me, it was just answering the call. I saw a need and I just answered it.